With the release of the War Within and the new warband system, there have been some massive changes to how leveling works in World of Warcraft. So after getting a couple of characters to level 80, I wanted to go over some of the best ways to level and some of the new changes that will help you level your alts super fast in this expansion. I'll also show you the huge new story skip we have on alts now, where you can skip the entire campaign and then take a catch-up quest at the end, which will catch up your progress right to the end of the main story, meaning that when you level an alt to 80, however you level it, you will be at the end, just like your main, ready to take on any endgame content you want. So first, let's talk about how alts work and the big buffs we got to leveling in the War Within. So when you finish the campaign on your first character, your second character doesn't have to do anything story related at all. In fact, the second you log in at 70, you talk to Thrall and Silithus, and you choose the option to skip the intro and start in Dornogal. Then, when you're in Dornogal, you can choose the scouting map, similar to the old expansions, and you can choose what zone you want to play in. However, you don't need to. You don't need to do a single bit of story on your alt characters, because everything is shared. You can just level up in dungeons, side quests, delves, or any other content you want. And then when you hit level 80, you have the option to skip the entire leveling campaign and be right there at endgame on your alt. This is absolutely huge. You also get shared reputations as part of the warband system, so don't feel like you're missing out on reputation or rewards or anything important by skipping the whole story. This is a massive quality of life feature and gives us a ton of freedom and saves loads of time while leveling. Additionally, in the War Within, we now have a massive buff to leveling alts that you can see when you go into your achievements. For every character you get to level 80, you get an achievement called Warband Mentors the War Within. The first character you level to 80 gives you a 5% boost to every alternate character that you level. And for every other character, you get an additional 5% boost. These add up together. So this goes all the way to 5 characters. So if you level 5 characters to 80, you get a 25% boost to any other characters you level. So the more you level, the faster each one becomes. For those of us that enjoy playing other classes, having different professions at endgame and trying different specs, this expansion is just incredible. So now let's talk about the best way to level all of these different alts. And when we talk about the fastest way to level in the War Within, surprise, surprise, it's the same as always, dungeons. Normal dungeons are incredible experience, especially considering they're so easy and surprisingly fast in the War Within. If you got friends, then just go into a dungeon all the way to 80 together. If you're solo, just queue in while doing quests. I don't know how to explain it in this expansion, but the dungeons just feel easy. On top of this, there seems to be some wacky scaling where lower level characters or well-geared characters can just delete the dungeon. And I don't just mean they're a little bit stronger than everyone else and they're atop of the damage meter. I mean they can take the bosses down in a couple of seconds, which is crazy. So with a good team, these dungeons literally take less than between 5 and 10 minutes. The bosses just melt before doing any mechanics. And so far, the queues I've been going in have been very fast, even on a DPS. I leveled a shaman completely solo as a DPS, solo queuing as a DPS. And the dungeons popped fast, and pretty much everyone was like this. They were super fast. There was a couple that were a little slower, but generally they were super fast. So yeah, this is easily the #1 way right now, and you can get to 80 in just a few hours. So yeah, just queue in to the random War Within dungeons, and you will just fly through the levels. The second best thing I'd suggest doing right now is the side quests, or the quests in the zones. With the way warbands work right now, any progress you make towards these quests or any reputation you receive is bound to your warband. So if you complete a side quest chain that rewards, say, 500 Hollow Fall Arathi rep at the end, if you complete that on one of your characters, you now have that reward permanently on your account. So if you then try and take the quest on an alt, it will say this reward has already been received. So doing it once is a one-time huge boost that you never have to do again. So one thing that is really worth doing as you level your alts is to pick a zone and just start working through all the side quests. They're going to keep ticking away at the achievements. You're going to get all the one-time rep rewards, which give you huge bonuses to all your characters, and just start working towards them. While you're doing that, queue up for the random dungeons and your experience will just fly. You're going to hit 80 so fast. And like I say, every single alt after that will just be faster than before due to the mentor bonus that you're going to be getting. So yeah, that would be the main way I'd focus on leveling for most people. But what are some other tips? What are some other good ways to really crank that experience even higher? Well, one is I mentioned the wacky scaling of dungeons. If you really want to take this to the extreme, you can try and queue in with lower level characters. So for your first few levels, your 70, 71, 72, you are that low-level character. You are that character that's going to be doing the crazy damage in these dungeons. So I would suggest for those levels, just go in dungeons. Just go in dungeons back to back, just queue into dungeons and you will gain ridiculous amounts of XP because these will be cleared by you in minutes. You are just going to destroy the dungeon and make everyone happy. So that's what I would suggest. And then if you have friends, a really good way to sync this is once you're in the mid of 70s, one of your friends jumps in at 70, and then you can do it that way. That would be a really good way if you're doing it with friends. But solo, just make sure those first few levels, you're taking advantage of that really good scaling in these dungeons. Aside from zones and dungeons, the rest of the things on offer here don't seem as good. Delves are okay. The experience in a delve is pretty good when you finish it, but they are much slower than dungeons right now. If we see dungeons get a massive nerf and you know, the experience goes down, or they buff they fix the scaling and these dungeons actually take the appropriate amount of time to finish, then maybe delves will be better. But right now, they just don't seem worth it. If you do love delves, they're worth it for you, right? Because you'll be leveling up Bran, you'll be unlocking all of his abilities, and you'll be having fun. So, you know, it's fun. But in terms of like the best way to level, I don't think delves are where it's at. Another one that's pretty good is crafting. This is a tip that's worked since the last expansion. If you're crafting, you gain a boost to XP as you're improving your crafting, as you're like leveling up your crafting and your first crafts and stuff. So I'd say if you buy all of your materials off of the auction house and you just try and power level your crafting, you can gain between 1 and 2 whole levels. So there is a lot of experience to be gained here. So if you're planning to craft on that character and you're in the position where you think, oh, you know, I'll get to 80 first and then I'll craft, don't. Maybe just start crafting at 78 or start crafting at 79 and get that big boost of experience. Especially even if you're not taking it too seriously, those early level crafts are incredibly easy. It's just using basic ore or basic material, basic cloth, things like that. So definitely do those basic crafts in the early stages and get that big XP boost while you're leveling. But yeah, they're the main ways I'd say. Leveling just feels fast. There's not really much else to say. With the warband mentor achievements, every character just gets faster and faster, and the way we can just skip the story and just play our own way, it just feels like a massive win for all of us who enjoy playing alts. If you found any other good ways to level, or you have any other tips, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I try and make a lot of guides like this one, and I've got some big ones planned for the War Within as we get into the expansion. But that's it from me. I hope this has helped. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.